Hey guys, Keith here with another GFW Impact review. There's been a lot of news about GFW in the last couple days. I shouldn't say news because who knows what's true and what's not true. But the only thing we do know is that Jeff Jarrett has indefinitely taken a leave of absence as Chief Creative Officer. There was talk about Anthem wanting to sell the company and a whole bunch of stuff. But like I said, we don't know what's true and what's not true. I guess we'll just sit back and enjoy the ride. So we open the show with a X Division tag team match featuring Trevor Lee and Caleb Konley versus Petey Williams and Sonjay Dutt. So this was a decent match. Nothing too special from these guys. I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get from them. They're all great talents in the ring. Petey ends up hitting the Canadian Destroyer on Caleb, and Dutt finishes him off with a splash from the top rope. Simple enough. That was it. Right after that, we got into the next match, which was, surprisingly enough, another tag team match. This was LAX versus John Bolland and Zachary Wentz. Pretty sure this was just two guys they kind of threw together. Don't know anything about them. This was basically a squash match. We did get to see that OVE was watching backstage. The LAX ended up getting the win with a blockbuster powerbomb combination. It was a nice move. After the match, OVE ended up coming out, and they basically said that LAX was the best team in GFW, so they came here to show them that they're the best team by taking their titles. Conan gets on the mic and kind of he's like, I don't know what meth lab you guys crawled out of, but if you want a title shot, come to Tijuana at Crash Wrestling Promotion. So apparently that's going to happen, and we're going to get it shown next week on Impact. So it seems like from what I've seen over the past couple weeks that I've really been watching it, maybe a month now, that GFW really lacks in the tag team division. So I like what they're doing with OVE, at least building them up to be formidable opponents for LAX. But after this, I don't know what there is to do. So, again, up next, we got another tag team match. And this was one after another. There was no backstage segments in between, which is kind of odd. And sometimes it's better that they have the backstage segments in between because it kind of helps pace the show. And like you'll see later on, where it was just matches in the beginning, and then all of a sudden we got a whole bunch of backstage segments and video packages and whatnot. So we had the match that was made last week by Karen Jarrett with Taryn, Terrell, and Sienna versus Gail, Kim, and Allie. So every time Taryn Terrell kept getting in the ring, she'd get one move and then automatically tag out to Sienna. So I guess that was kind of what was going on in the beginning of the match. Gail finally made the hot tag in to Allie, which she was getting decimated in the beginning of the match. Gail Kim, that is. So Allie went up to the top rope, and KM ended up grabbing her by the foot. But Braxton Sutter came over and chased him to the back. So at this point, Sienna was able to get back to her feet, and Allie ended up hitting the splash, but Sienna rolled through and rolled her up for a 3 count. So this match was decent for what it was. After the match, Taryn and Sienna beat down Gail and Allie, but Rosemary comes out for the save, but unfortunately, she gets overpowered by Taryn and Sienna. And after that, we get the debut of Taya Valkyrie. So Taya and Sienna were kind of facing off after Taya makes her entrance to the ring, and at this point, you think they're going to fight, but then Taya turns her attention to Rosemary and starts beating her down. So I'm guessing we're going to end up getting a 6-woman tag match in the somewhat near future. So we'll see. Up next, Jim Cornette comes out, basically promoting the global title match later on tonight. He says he thinks that Eli Drake's going to crack, and that he wouldn't be surprised if with Matt Sydal winning the match and being the new champion. Johnny Impact then comes out and says he wants the winner of the match. to which the crowd was absolutely insane for him, which is good to see. Low-Key and LAX come out, and Konnan wants to know what type of white privilege Johnny has to get him a title shot before Low-Key. He basically says that the AAA titles that Johnny's currently holding mean nothing, and that Low-Key is being overlooked. So Low-Key says that Johnny hasn't earned anything here, and they start to get into a brawl, and Johnny's able to hold his own against most of the members of LAX, and then security comes in and rips it all apart. So it was a good segment, which later on in the night, right after this, Cornette is backstage yelling and screaming and saying that next week we get a number one contendership match between Low-Key and Johnny Impact, and he hopes they beat the hell out of each other. Oh, Jim Cornette. Next, we have we had a replay of what happened last week between Grado and Laurel Van Ness about her being Canadian and not helping with his current situation. So Joseph Park tells Grado that he has to tell Laurel the truth, that he's not going to marry her. So Laurel comes up, and Grado's like, the wedding is off. And he's like, it's not you, it's me. And she looks toward the camera and gets this crazy look on her face. And she turns around, and she's like, okay, that's fine. Everything is not fine. So apparently we're going to get the hot mess again. Then, after this, this took up a decent amount of time. We get a package of all the events that transpired at Triple Mania featuring the GFW stars. We got Moose and Lashley and their whole interaction with each other, which led to a fight because Moose had he had eliminated Lashley from the gauntlet match or battle royal, whatever it was, and we had gone to commercial break, and they came back, and they talked about the Rosemary segment a little bit, but of course this turned into the Jeff Jarrett show. He basically made an ass out of himself, started getting into it with La Parka in the back, and then Vampiro had to restrain him. And I'm wondering if this didn't have something to do with him stepping down, because I don't know if maybe Anthem thought that he was going to be a liability in any type of agreement they had with other promotions. So who knows? Up next, we had a Desmond Xavier video package, which is the first time we saw anything from him since winning the Super X Cup at, was that Destination X? Not Destination X. Yeah, it was Destination X. And apparently he's happy to have the Chris brothers here with him. And after that, we get a teaser video for Pagano, which we saw one last week, I believe. I didn't touch upon it because you knew it was coming again. And then they talk about Eddie Edwards winning the GHC championship. After that, we got a video package of Garza Jr., and then we go backstage to see Richard Justice, who is notably in pain, saying that he's always got to be ready if needed. So, like I said earlier on, had they put these little segments between those matches, it kind of would have helped flow with the show. But what are you going to do? And that brought us to our main event of Matt Sydal versus Eli Drake. So, surprisingly enough, not really, Chris Adonis got involved early on. And after that, it was pretty much all Eli Drake. So Matt Sydal started to gain some momentum in the match. And Chris Adonis grabbed the title belt, threw it to one side of the ring, walked around, grabbed the chair, and threw it in the ring. And Adonis was yelling to Eli that he threw the chair in the ring. So the ref comes over and gets distracted with him. And Eli goes to pick up the title belt at the other side of the ring and goes to hit Sydal with it. Sydal ducks and knocks Drake to the ground. So Drake goes, Sydal goes to the top for the shooting star press, but Adonis gets up on the apron and distracts him. He kicks him. Then Adonis gets back up. This time the referee's distracted. Eli Drake grabs the title belt, hits Matt Sydal in the head. Sydal falls down. Eli hits the gravy train for the win. So, decent enough match. And This episode didn't seem to be as good as the last couple weeks, in my opinion, anyway. But we are building to things, so we will see. And of course, like I said in the beginning, who knows what's going on with the whole situation with Anthem and Jarrett. And yeah, I mean, I do know they had talked about their moving into the global network of showing GFW in, I think, Germany and other parts of the world. And then they talked about their plan to bring the Global Wrestling Network. I guess it's going to be its own streaming show with 24-hour live wrestling. Not live wrestling, but you know what I mean. But yeah, so that was GFW Impact. If you like what you've seen here, please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.